Hello, welcome to the July meeting for the Pinole Community Services Commission. I have an announcement regarding a change in our public comment process that will begin this evening. Our published agenda has information on how to participate in this meeting. Please refer to tonight's agenda for detailed instructions on how to do so. All written comments received by 3 p.m. on the day of the meeting will be distributed to the commissioners and staff and will be posted on our website in advance of the meeting. Written comments will not be read aloud during the meeting. The public will have the opportunity to participate in the meeting live by connecting by Zoom, video conferencing, or by phone. We will have a general public comment period under item 4, citizens to be heard. Please be sure to join in advance. The webinar ID and phone number are listed on the agenda. I'd like to open the meeting and look at the agenda. Call to order. Maria, do we have a roll call?
Yes. Commissioner Martin?
Yes.
Commissioner Ojeda?
Present.
Commissioner Menace?
Here.
Commissioner Clark?
Present.
And Commissioner Teller?
Present.
Okay, we have Commissioner Kopp and Commissioner Ricketts absent today.
Okay. Thank you. I'd like to ask for approval of the minutes for June 23rd, 2021 meeting, please. Any comments or just a straight approval for that? Any comments on the minutes from 23rd of June?
I approve the minutes.
May I have a second, please?
I will second that.
Okay, let's move on to citizens to be heard. I'm opening up the public comments period. Please use the raise hand feature if you are connected via Zoom, or press 9 if connected via telephone if you would like to make a comment. Please note that you may need to unmute yourself once called on to speak. Please state your name and city of residence. Each speaker will have 3 minutes. Do we have any speakers for public comment?
We don't have any speakers at this time, Laurel.
Okay, thank you. All right, we're going to move forward to old business. 2021 events. Dumpster Day. I, for one, thought it was extremely successful. Any comments from other commissioners?
Second that, it went very well.
I'd agree. I think it went very well. Like I said at the last city council meeting, slightly disagree with Treasurer Swearingen on, the relative worth of social media outreach. I think we could maybe have done a bit more there because we still had some space left at the end, and some people I talked to said they weren't aware of the event and would have liked
There'll be another one.
More outreach
so
on.
We have an opportunity to Bob put out the signs, so that was very helpful. But you're right, we could do more with social media. So that's something we can talk about before the next one. Any other comments?
I have a comment. You want me to raise my virtual hand?
Sure, just go ahead.
Okay. I know that we like to push to make sure everyone is aware that we are going to have dumpster day and that it's in operation and they're all welcome. But the other side of that coin is we can't, the more people we alert to this program, in the past, we've had entirely too many and could not get through to the end. So I don't know what the fix is for that, but I just wanted us all to remember that turns out to be a problem on the opposite side.
And having Bob or whoever put signs out a couple of weeks before does give people an opportunity. And it should, it'll be on the city website.
Maria's got her hand up.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I do want to note that we did share the information through the city's Facebook page. It was posted on Nextdoor, on the city website. So Commissioner Manis, if you have any other ideas on where else we could promote it when we start going for the October event, please let me know if you have any other ideas on how we can continue to promote this event.
Or I can just briefly state it now. Basically, the person that talked to me about it mentioned that one way that they were informed about events in other cities like this was through the Patch website. So that might be worth looking into in addition to Nextdoor and the other media mentioned.
I believe it was also posted there through the Patch, but I'll make sure and double check with them. I know we post all of our other events through the Patch as well. But that I'll make a note of that as well for future events.
I'm pretty sure I saw it on Patch, actually. Okay, any further comments on Dumpster Day? All right, let's move on to coastal cleanup. I'm sorry, did someone else have a comment on Dumpster Day?
Sorry, Laurel, this is Darren. I just wanted to, just chime in, agree with you that it was a good success. And I think I agree with Debbie that sometimes it's a balancing act of marketing and then being able to service all our customers. But I think if we can have our second one later in the year, like we were talking about, maybe we've gotten some of the backlog out. Maybe we can, if we do more outreach, maybe it's not going to get us in the fall like it has in, I agree. I know I could remember those, Debbie. Some of those where, we had more trash than we had dumpsters, and that's sad too.
Yes. And then people got upset.
Great event. Awesome. Great to have all the commissioners over there.
Maria, could you refresh my memory? What date in October is that, please?
Yes, I actually have it here. So the next date will be on Saturday, October 9th. That will be our next Dumpster Day event, and it'll be the same time frame from 7 to 11 a.m. I actually have started already working on the flyer for that, and we'll share it, in the next, and where we were going into August, so we'll be sharing it in the next month or so. That way people can put it on their calendars. We're already on the calendar with Republic, so they are aware. And I think also having Republic on hand and supporting with the event definitely helped the event run, very smoothly. And they had their drivers there, and it was good to have those empty dumpsters there. And I think that also, added to us not having a long line as in previous years.
I think it made a huge difference having the Republic personnel there. It was great. Okay, coastal cleanup is September 18th. I have one question, obviously, is are we going to be contacting schools again so that we can provide volunteer hours and they will bring their forms from their particular school?
Yes, Laurel, I have actually, I started reaching out to the principal, Principal Kibbe from Pinole Valley High School, since the Interact group is usually a group that supports all of our, volunteers at our events. So I actually have, I was in contact with him this week, and I informed him that we have some events coming up this fall, and we would like the group to return and join us. And I will also start to, when schools open up in August, I will upload the flyer to West Contra Costa Unified Schools District electronic flyer system that they have. So we'll also be able to recruit them. And if any of the commissioners would like to, I know it's different because of COVID, and I don't know if we can stop by the schools once they reopen, but maybe as we start working more of the logistics next month, maybe the commissioners can call the schools once they reopen and see if we can do some outreach that way as well.
Yeah, they'll have the flyer already. Okay. Okay. Anybody else have any comments about coastal cleanup?
I just wanted to ask one question. I don't see the flyer in this packet, Maria. I think you said you sent it, but somehow I'm missing it.
I got it. It was at the very end of the most recent one she sent out.
That's the one I was looking at. I'll look again.
Okay.
It is on page 6 of it, and I can also send it. I know, I'm not sure if you can see, Debbie, but I know, and it's very small, but Dave did put up the flyer up on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
But I can also, sorry, go ahead.
No, I just said yes. I see it on the screen.
Okay. It's very similar format to what we've done previously, a 9 to 12 event. Registration would start at 8:30. I did this year because of COVID and, everything's changing so fast. I know previously there has been a barbecue, and that's something that the commission, I don't know how, I didn't include that on this flyer because we do want to start to promote the event soon. And I know there's a lot of restrictions with COVID. So maybe the commission can think of maybe some alternative things that they want to do instead of the barbecue this year, and we can discuss as we get closer at the next meeting when we're discussing the logistics of it as well. Or if you guys want to discuss now, that's also available. But I did want to make that note that was not included this time.
I think we could just have water, coffee, and snacks or something. That's quite adequate,
I agree.
In my opinion.
The person that did the barbecue in the past was Pete Murray and Bob Cobb.
Yes.
It was
but
not
a little bit more difficult this year, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I have a comment about the flyer. Given that the state is trying to ramp up mask requirements or recommendations again, even for vaccinated individuals, it might be worthwhile for us to request wearing a mask on the flyer, because I expect by September 18th, the state is going to be calling for mask wearing even in outdoor gatherings. And
why don't we just wait
transmission, and I expect Pinole probably will be at that point.
I can definitely add in.
And then secondarily, with regards to the barbecue, that could probably be done safely. We just need to make sure that, there's adequate spacing and that, people are wearing masks when they aren't eating, that sort of thing. But I'm not sure that we need to rule it out necessarily. I'm open to discussion on that.
I don't think it's a problem not to do it. It's for 1 year. We could have snacks, I think we'll have to wait, Raphael, and see what the mandate is from the county at the time about mask wearing, don't you?
I think given the trend line of what's been going on for the past several weeks, I think it's reasonable to expect that the county will at least be suggesting wearing masks in outdoor gatherings at that point.
And may I add something back to the barbecue? We would have to, the main part of that process is we would have to have several volunteers to, set up and cook. And that's never been something that the commissioners did, except for Bob Cobb. We were not involved in that.
And that's a lot to put on Bob.
Right.
We've got a little time. We've got a little time anyway. We could ask him what he thinks, but it means going to purchase items and all of that sort of thing,
Yeah. I think it would be too much.
We could ask Bob what he thinks.
Yeah.
And Raphael, I think if we need to wear masks, we'll wear them. We'll see what the mandate is for outdoor activities at that time. Do you think so, Maria?
I think what we can do, because we do want to start to promote the event, we can add a note, masks may be required dependent on county guidelines. Some kind of just a note in there included would be a good idea, because we do want to get the flyer out. And we do want people to feel safe when they're coming, to participate in the event. So we can do something, and we can just include that language that, depending on county guidelines, the mask can be required to participate in the event.
That seems reasonable because we don't know for sure. I just think that it's probable that it will be by the time we get to mid-September, based on the way things are going right now.
Okay, so we've had a discussion about those two items, mask wearing, and we can talk to Bob about having a barbecue. I'm not sure that it's the best year to do it, but can we just wait and talk to him and see what his views are? Do you think that's fair, Maria?
This is Darren. That's a similar comment to what you have, Laurel. It's really Bob Kopp and Pete Murray that put that barbecue on. So yeah, however they feel about it, whatever, we'll ask them, because it's their, it's them putting it on out of the kindness of their hearts.
Okay, any further comments about coastal cleanup? Okay, let's move on to new business. The first item A is Thriving Earth Exchange Project. You want to introduce this, Maria, please?
Yes. Anne, you want to go ahead? I'm going to let you introduce yourself and tell us about the project. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, sure, I can do that. Can everyone hear me all right?
Perfect.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, I am actually going to share my screen here. And give me a second to go there. And there we go. You should be able to see that. Can everyone see that first slide?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, good. I'll assume you speak for everyone. So, yeah, my name is Anne Moriarty, and I am on the board of Friends of Pinole Creek Watershed. And we are partnering with the city on a project to assess trash in Pinole Creek. Maria has invited me to introduce you to this project, and I hope that we can work together to engage the community. Sometimes with Google Slides, it's a little funky. Let me go back. There we go. So the Pinole Creek watershed stretches from East Bay Mud. I'm sorry? All right. The Pinole Creek watershed stretches from East Bay mudlands down to the bay. And it is a rich riparian environment which welcomes steelhead trout and other wildlife. Its waters empty into San Pablo Bay, and the last 2 miles or so, as we all know, have been engineered to control periodic flooding. We have all watched, especially during COVID, as the community has taken advantage of the opportunity to walk along its shores, to stand at the mouth and gaze out at San Pablo Bay, to watch birds and otters in its waters, and to ride bikes along roads and paths that parallel the creek. Pinole Creek is a precious resource, and the community recognizes that. So the pandemic has only heightened its value for us. But unfortunately, as we all know, trash in its many forms has polluted the creek and surrounding areas. Trash in the form of fast food waste, plastic straws and bags, and litter is sometimes thoughtlessly tossed, or maybe not even just sometimes, but many times. Some of that trash enters storm drains, which lead right into the creek, and larger scale dumping along roads that parallel the creek constitutes another seemingly insurmountable problem. So on the left there, that is right by the fish passage. And the next photo is also at the fish passage. You can see the spray paint cans. And then the two photos on the right are along Alhambra Valley Road, which is a really popular dumping site. The community has communicated anger and frustration regarding the problem of trash in city council meetings, on social media forums, and in creek group meetings. And so the question is what are we doing about trash? Pinole has installed trash capture devices to satisfy the California trash amendments. Your commission and the Friends of Pinole Creek and the city have held trash cleanup days, i.e. the Coastal Cleanup Day. And people on their own have been inspired to pick up trash as they walk. In 2018, a few of us met several times at East Bay Coffee, and we discussed initiating a special project to address the trash problem in Pinole Creek watershed from a scientific angle. As a result of these discussions, we submitted a proposal to Thriving Earth Exchange, which is a project group associated with the American Geophysical Union. This is the mission statement for the Thriving Earth Exchange. It strengthens and enhances collaboration among communities, scientists, and partner organizations so that all communities can build healthy, resilient, thriving, just, and ecologically responsible futures. Our vision statement is one that you can see here, and as the phone is partly covering that, I'll read it for you too. So the project team envisions the Pinole Creek watershed as a thriving ecosystem that benefits all social and ecological communities. We hope to establish a trash assessment, water quality monitoring program for Pinole Creek to determine the impacts of trash on creek health, with the targeted goal of course, reducing those impacts on the watershed. So how do we go about this? Our Thriving Earth Exchange project harnesses the power of community science. Most of us are familiar with citizen science, which engages citizens to gather data to extend research, which was initiated by a scientist. Community science is more than that, because the research question or problem is initiated by the community. In our case, litter and trash entering the Pinole Creek watershed. Community science also honors community knowledge and priorities, respects community agency, values science, opens science to change, advances environmental justice, is humble, and plain gets stuff done. So the project team, who is on that project team? It's consisting of 3 different groups of people. Community scientists, and we have on board Wynn Cowger, who is from UC Riverside, and he is a trash scientist who is very involved in that work. We have a community science fellow who is Todd Harwell, who is at Oregon State University, and he is a PhD candidate for environmental science. And so he's very involved and knowledgeable. He's basically our project manager. And then we have community leaders. So who are the community leaders and partners? Well, first of all, Friends of Pinole Creek Watershed, who initiated the project, Earth Team, which is a group that works through high schools and has a team at Pinole Valley High, the Contra Costa Resource Conservation District, the City of Pinole, And in parentheses, I put there East Bay Mud, the school district, and different community groups such as Rotary, the Scouts, and such. So we have all of these different people who are involved and will be working together to reach these goals. So our objectives and goals are, first of all, to identify and understand the sources, paths, and impacts of litter entering Pinole Creek. Second, to engage people of all ages in trash monitoring and litter cleanup, thereby fostering a sense of environmental stewardship that endures well beyond project participation. And then third, to inform policy development for the creation of a citywide creek protection ordinance. So how can we accomplish those goals? And let me do this slide again. See, there we go. First of all, gathering data is the most important initial step. We have randomly chosen sites in the upper watershed and within city limits to assess trash levels and trash types using standard protocols developed by the San Francisco Estuary Institute. In the center there, you can see the trash monitoring playbook, which was published in December of 2020. So using a standard protocol will ensure that what we learn can be compared to other watersheds and communities in California, and the data we gather will be the basis for developing a creek protection ordinance and giving us the scientific ammunition to address the problem at policy level. So basically, Pinole has been chosen as the first city, the first community to run these protocols. And so we have a lot of pride in the fact that we can get this done and we can set a good model for the rest of the state. So the timeline, there we go. Basically, if you look down through the timeline, we are in July and September. And what we hope is that we can begin to implement our water quality monitoring or our trash assessment starting at the Coastal Cleanup Day. And those would be our first trainings, Coastal Cleanup Day, and then after that with different groups, followed by, we've targeted October as our first data collection time. And that time is pre-rainy season. And then we hope in January through March to do a second round of trash assessment and water quality monitoring so that we can compare dry season and wet season. And that, of course, is, keeping our fingers crossed that we do have a rainy season this year. So yeah, we'll hope for that and that we don't remain in the drought. So that's basically what we're looking at. We're looking at an 18-month, although it has been extended because of COVID, project that is funded mostly by American Geophysical Union funds and by the different project participants who have materials and expertise. So my question to you is, how can we collaborate? What are some of the things that the Community Services Commission might be able to come alongside with? I met several of you at the dumpster day as I was passing out, information and gathering emails from people. So that's one way. But I was wondering, that's my ask, is how can we work together? What questions do you have which might help you decide how we can work together? And yeah, any other comments would be more than welcome.
Any commissioners want to comment on this?
I'd say, what's the main way we have measuring success? Do they test the water for certain levels of bad things? Or, how would success be measured?
How would success be measured? Basically, what we're looking for is Water quality monitoring itself is a secondary portion of it. The primary portion is a trash assessment. So we're looking at what kinds of trash is ending up in the watershed, in the creek itself. Like I said, that we've chosen randomly 30 sites within the city and in the upper watershed, and those are 30-meter long sections that we will train people to do a scientific study of the trash that is there, collecting it as we go along. And then I think success in the end would probably be seen further down the line. That's a really good question. I mean, we have to, if it's scientific, how do we measure what the results are? And what we would be hoping for would be a reduction in the amount of trash, for us to be able to identify where the trash is coming from, and then to, as a community, decide how to address those things. And the third thing that I had suggested was we hope to start a citywide creek protection ordinance based on other ones in neighboring communities like El Cerrito, and other communities in Marin County have those kinds of protection ordinances.
Do you have, Anne, do you have all the commissioners on your email list?
I do not.
Well, perhaps you could just get that from Maria. I'll sort of send it to you.
I can get those if the commissioners, if you agree to that, or I can work through you or Maria. Either way, if the commissioners don't mind me having their direct email address, I'm happy to gather that. I just don't want to step outside the boundaries of what you prefer.
I don't mind.
Well, I would like to have mine for sure.
Same.
Anybody else? Anyone have any objections?
You can put mine on there.
Okay.
This is Raphael. I'm fine with your having my email address, and I think you have it already. But
yeah,
I just note that if there's general emails being sent out to a majority of the commission, then we want to use caution to make sure we're not running into Brown Act issues. We're not discussing things or whatnot that we would otherwise be discussing in open meetings. It's just,
I think
checking in with people and
just
whatnot.
keeping us up to date of what's happening. That's all.
Something to bring up.
That's a very good point. I will, these email addresses, like the ones that I was gathering at the dumpster day, would basically be using for information, to pass on information, and any kind of discussion or things like that that I would, request your help with, I could direct through Laurel or through Maria.
Okay.
I just want to make
there are other groups, and I'm in Lions, and I know for sure there's some members of that group that would be happy to participate when they could in the project.
Okay.
Just as Rotary people are,
Yep.
And I actually have a question at this point. I noticed that there was a slide you had earlier right after this one that had some of your ideas perhaps on how we could collaborate. Yes. So
yeah.
We can look at those and maybe see whether there's any things that we can adjust or agree on or whatnot. So I guess following on from that, you suggested having a training as part of Coastal Cleanup Day. So would that be training leading into the formal observation, the first run of this process? And would that be replacing Coastal Cleanup Day or amending it?
Excellent question. We have just started discussing on our leadership team, we just started discussing what that might look like. And so we're open to, discussion if my thought, so here's a potential thought, is that we have a table at the setup. I'm assuming that will be at Bayfront Park, which is what your flyer said, that we have a table to invite people to a training that would start at X time, maybe 10 a.m. or something like that. And that training would take no more than 45 minutes to an hour. Maybe what we could do is have, different training setups. And in this case, we can't get into the creek down by Bayfront Park. It's too deep. But in other parts of the creek, we'll be actually in the channel. But to do the training, we would have all of the equipment and all of the materials there, the data sheets, the collection sheets, to show how it goes and actually do one right there. And then the rest of the coastal cleanup time is for the general pickup, which we normally are all engaged in. So, that's an excellent question, and it's one that we haven't fully framed out yet. So I wanted to, run it by you and see if there were any ideas that you thought how we might be able to incorporate those things together.
I guess one comment that I might have is that it might be worthwhile having the training closer to the start of the event. So having it at 9 o'clock rather than 10 o'clock, so you could get people when they're gathering at the start and have them do that, and then sort of loop it in as more of the event rather than have people come back from the cleanup after they've been doing that for an hour and then shift over to the training.
The rest of the commissioners, what are your thoughts as far as doing something like this together? Friends of Pinole Creek Watershed and the Community Services Commission, kind of doing that coastal cleanup days / training preparation for actual assessment later in October. Are you on board with that, or is that something that you feel we should further discuss?
I'm on board with it. I think it's great. And I think it could be of interest to some of our students. I'm not sure, but certainly could be.
I'm for it.
Sounds like a wonderful idea. Thank you for taking on such a huge responsibility. Have you shared this with the Rotary Club yet? I'm thinking you did.
I have not, but the Rotary Club is definitely on our list, especially with your guys' cleanups and your weekly walks and things like that. So I have, thanks to Laurel now, we had the Lions Club, the Rotary Club, the Girl Scouts, the Boy Scouts, who I have talked to. We have Ellerhorst Elementary, Collins Elementary, who I haven't spoken to the teachers at Collins yet, but they definitely have responded positively. Other community groups, Earth Team, of course, who is one of our partners. Let's see, what other community groups are there outside there?
There could even be some church groups that are interested. Any comments on that?
I can ask around.
Absolutely. Like your church, there might be a group that are very interested in this.
Well, I think some interest to other clergy and their churches around the area too.
Yeah, sure.
That would be great. So what I'll do is I will send an email to this group, and then so that you will have my email address. I actually have it here, but I will send you an email address. And whatever responses you have, just reply solely to me so that you don't have your Brown Act, potential conflicts. About other ideas you have, and if there are other, church groups or other community groups that you can think of, that would be fabulous to engage, as much of the community as we can. So, just to circle back to the Coastal Cleanup Day, I just want to make sure that sounds good, and I think the suggestion of a 9 o'clock start, at the very beginning, or maybe, of course we'd be there earlier, is a good one. And my question then would be, who would be my main contact as far as the Coastal Cleanup organization, so that, everyone's inboxes.
Have you spoken to Pete Murray?
We have not yet, but he's going to be coming to our Friends of Pinole Creek Watershed, hopefully our 20th year anniversary. So he should be, we'll definitely, connect with him. Because he's a very important part of the coastal cleanup. So he's the key person. So he's the first person I would speak to. Okay.
And also, you can let me know, because I know Pete is working with me on the coastal cleanup. He's been overseeing it for a long time, but I am taking the lead this year with it, and he's supporting me as well as we go through the process. So just please let me know, and we can coordinate and kind of share information. And as we get close, I know next month is August, and then our event will be here. So if you want to join us next month to provide us with an update on what the group has come up with, that would also be a good opportunity as we're discussing logistics of the event as well.
Okay, that sounds good. When is your next meeting? August?
Our next meeting will be on
August 25th.
Yes, thank you.
And I'm really pleased, Anne, that you have contacted elementary schools. I think that's great.
Yeah. It's fabulous. I mean, Ellerhorst has a little, gate that they've made down to the creek right behind there. So it's fabulous. We can get them young, right?
Exactly.
Good. Let's see. Thinking short-term, long-term, these are kind of short-term kinds of things, but perhaps we can further discuss long-term, ways that as a community we can continue fostering a sense of joy in the creek, something that your commission has done very well. I'm also wondering if any of you would want to be trainers to understand the process a little bit more up close and personal before we started to do that, and that we could include you as a trainer. If you'd like to, I can reach out to you separately and let you know a little bit more. I can also send you a link to the playbooks so that you have that information. Is there anyone who would like to join us as potential trainers?
It's a little, for coastal cleanup, we have different roles. Like normally I'm signing volunteer hours to students, that kind of thing. So I don't know about anyone else. Debbie is our resident photographer. So I'm not sure if anyone else wants to be a trainer. Anyone else interested in that?
I'd be interested. I know that I'm often just wandering around filling in roles as needed during the last coastal cleanup anyway, so I'd be happy to help with that. And I also wanted to state, while I have a moment here, that I think this is a good idea. And with regards to reaching out to community groups, it might also be worthwhile to reach out to some of the more, I don't know how to phrase this, politically oriented groups like Pinole for Fair Government or the Pinole Historical Society or the Pinole Progressive Alliance, and see whether they'd be interested in being involved in this.
Okay. Let me get that down. Great. And I might ask you, Raphael, for contacts if you have specific contact information on some of the leaders of those groups, just so, but I'll reach out to you on an email so that we can see we've got there. So, and to let you know, the training, that's only going to be the first training we're doing. So Laurel, you can't just totally back out, right?
Sure.
We'll have other trainings, after the coastal cleanup, and actually maybe that would be a way for you guys to. Well, no, you'll be doing your own roles and such like that. So we want to make sure that this works in tandem and doesn't end up being too much for for anyone. So if you're interested, let me know, and I can get you some of the more specific information and include you in a smaller group email in terms of the development of our training protocol, so that we can do that.
That sounds really good.
Excellent. Well, I'm thrilled. It's great to actually, talk with you guys after seeing you at service days and so many people coming out to the library garden and working in the creek. I've just really appreciated the work that you've done, and I'll look forward to working with you guys as this event comes up and as the rest of the project, the Thriving Earth Exchange project, unfolds.
Thank you, Anne. That's really informative. And obviously we can work together next year when we do a community service day.
Great. That sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
All right.
Perfect.
Thank you so much.
Great. And I will stop sharing so you guys can get back to the rest of your meeting.
Thank you so much, Anne.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, we're moving on to item B. Debbie, I think you're on Fernandez Park.
Yes, I just wanted to talk about briefly. I'm going to have to leave in about 5 minutes too, by the way. But briefly, the Fernandez Park is in severe disarray, I'll call it. We have begun playing ball out there with the league and visiting with other leagues while we're there, and it turns out that the field is full of gopher holes, and I cannot tell you how many injuries that we've had, adults and children. And on top of that, the bleachers and the area surrounding them have had, well, it needs to be cleaned up, and a large group plans to do that on coastal cleanup, because it's my understanding that everything on the ground ends up in the bay. The other problem, which might have been rectified with the addition of the automated locks for the restrooms so they're open more regularly, is human feces on the ground and children slipping in it. I was there for one of those moments, and I'm really concerned. I think Fernandez Park is historical, and I think we need to do some work there, community and city. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. I think not only Fernandez Park, I think we're having an issue. And have you spoken to Public Works about potholes?
I talked to, Christina and Maria, and they are directing me to Public Works. I believe, I could be wrong, but I think we are in transition on who is the head of Public Works. Is that true, Maria?
Yes, Tamara Miller did retire earlier in the month, so there is an interim Public Works director right now.
So shall I talk to them, or?
I've made a note of this. You can also email Joe Bigaman, who's the Public Works Manager. He can also help. I know that there's been some discussion about the gopher holes and what the city could do to address that issue. So I know that's something that he has been looking into, but he would have more information on that.
Oh, okay, my error. I thought he was also had just retired.
No, he's still with us.
Oh, good. Okay, well, there's who I can talk to.
Okay, thanks, Debbie, and I hope that we can get this resolved.
Me too.
With the schedule of public works. I know they've got pretty overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Okay. It's good to bring it to our attention. Thank you. Okay, item C, public art policy. Maria, can you introduce this, please?
Thank you. Yes, I just wanted to provide an update. This was brought up at the last meeting. So at this time, the city does not have a public art policy. A draft was created a few years ago, but it was not adopted. So this is something that will be reviewed in the future, and something that we'll be able to provide an update on in the future. But at this time, there is not a public art policy.
Okay, thank you. All right, item D. Cleanup days.
Yes, this was also an update, a question that came up at our last meeting regarding the additional cleanup days that were included in the budget. So at this time, the commission will not be responsible for organizing these cleanup events. As this is something new that will be added, and as as that is added into the activities and events that are offered during the year, there could be some opportunity for some collaboration or participation from the commission. So again, as those items, as those events are created, then I will report back to the commission and see how you all can be involved in those events.
Right. It seems like we could partner with people such as Ann's group and Community Service Day and that kind of thing to take opportunities. I know Raphael was trying to organizing small groups in neighborhoods, right, Raphael?
Right, I was doing that before the pandemic hit.
Right, yes, and now so a positive thing, I think, Maria, is we're having 2 dumpster days and we're having coastal cleanup. So, and also we're going to be partnering and being involved with Ann's group, and I think those are very positive to me.
This is Darren. Yeah, I agree. I love that Pinole's doing more of these cleanup days, and any way we can promote or volunteer, I'm always there anyway. Perfect. I think that's great. And I think just like what you're saying, Laurel, I think some of these cleanup days could dovetail nicely into some of that creek cleanup that Ann was talking about. That's perfect.
Yes. And if we can get some of the younger students involved, that's wonderful.
And maybe it also helps clean up Fernandez Park, some of those cleanup days.
Yes.
Gotta get Debbie back here so she can smile.
So I definitely look forward to hearing more from Maria once you know more about what the city is planning. It sounds like right now it's not very firmed up yet.
No, it's just beginning stages.
Yeah. Okay, the last item on our agenda for new business is local schools. I'm assuming this means sort of partnering or contacting our local schools, which we have done in the past. For those who, like me, have been on the commission forever. For example, I used to contact Allahorst when we had an event. Each commissioner dealt with a particular school. And is that what this is about, really?
Yes, Laurel, you will discuss this or you brought it up to add it to the agenda item for today with the schools reopening. As of right now, the schools are set to reopen on August 16th, and you wanted to discuss partnering. So maybe, I know we don't want to bombard the schools right when they open, but maybe once they've had some time to adjust, then maybe the commission can decide, you know, who is assigned to each school. And then when we host these events and stuff like that, you can go over and share that information. But it was more of a discussion item that you all wanted to discuss.
Sure. Like perhaps, I know they're starting back, September, coastal cleanup comes around pretty quickly, but perhaps, you know, the first week of September, we could contact somebody at an individual school and just remind them about coastal cleanup, and that would welcome students, because you will have already sent the flyers out by then, right?
Yes, I will upload it up to their, you know, their system that they have that will distribute it to
Sure.
all the schools in Pinole. But if the commission at the next meeting wants to personally reach out to each school and also make that connection, you guys can decide that as well. And I see
Okay.
Darren's hand up, Laurel, so I'm going to see if I know he wants, maybe
Okay.
has a comment.
Darren.
I had to find my mute button. Yeah, I'll just, I agree. I think it is nice that we have contacts to the school. That never hurts to reach out to the principal or who they designate, you know, that would be best for that. But I'll also say that Peach Jar, that app that does the flyer approval and dissemination, you know, that's kind of a nice technology ad that's new that really does help us get out to all the schools, right? Because now we're not, one of the things is we were bringing the flyers out to the school. Well, they got that figured out, you know, with the electronic flyers and all that. So that's one thing that's nice about the technology. It does get out to the schools easier that way. But I also say it doesn't hurt to have the personal touch and have the contacts too. Why not?
Yeah, it sounds good. Well, we can discuss it at the next meeting, I think, continue with that one. But, you know, we could just pick a school and just contact them and remind them that we're looking forward to any students that come, and that they can get, you know, they're too young for community service hours, but the young ones, but that we would welcome them. So any other ideas on this? Or should we just table this again and select a school, or what do you want us to do, Maria?
I can move it onto the agenda for the next month with old business, and that kind of will also go hand in hand with coastal cleanup, because we'll be discussing a little bit more of the logistics for coastal cleanup at our next meeting.
Okay, all right.
Maybe we could we have like be a list of the schools in that next meeting, and we could just kind of divvy them up there, right? Is that what you're thinking? Like, you know, you have these two, I get these two, kind of thing.
Yes, I will bring a list of the schools, and then the commissioners can decide who will contact you.
Right. I think that works.
Okay, we've come to the end of new business, and unless there are any other comments, we'll adjourn to the next meeting, which will be August 25th, 2021. Okay?
Okay. Thank
Great,
you.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you again for.
Thank you, Maria.
Thank you, Laurel, for joining us. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. See you on the 25th.
All right. See you
Wonderful.
then. Bye.